The BJP has argued that the disqualification is an automatic byproduct of the conviction that they haven't actually done anything proactively to do this. So, unless you're questioning the independence of the court that delivered the judgment.
Conviction is very, very rare. In fact, people are trying to do desperate research to find another case where somebody for criminal defamation has actually been given a 2 year sentence. There are very, very few cases, if at all. And so the normal course would have been a fine, possibly a reprimand, possibly a short prison term to serve, as an exemplary caution, whatever. But to give the maximum punishment for one statement, which in any case is highly contestably been interpreted, because there's no doubt that the case of the petitioner is very weak. Rahul Gandhi said in his speech, in sabke naam mein, and when he said in sabke, he was talking about these three: Nirav Modi, Lalit Modi, Narendra Modi. In sabke naam pe Modi kyun hai? Now, you can well say that that was a specific attempt to target three specific Modis and had nothing to do with the Modis as a general surname. Nowhere was he saying, and nowhere did he say, that all Modis are thieves. So I think this is a case that stands a very good chance on the merits of succeeding on appeal. But the truth still is, it's one sentence wrenched out of context that lends itself to two possible interpretations, and yet you have the maximum possible punishment. There's something there that doesn't smell right.
You know that the political point being made by the BJP is that this is a smear of the OBC community, that you basically lashed out at a surname, at a caste name, at a caste group.
But listen, I mean, this is absurd, preposterous, because as you know, there's nothing remotely backward about either Lalit Modi or Nirav Modi, who neither of whom, by the way, is an OBC. I think Lalit Modi is a Marwadi, Nirav Modi is a Jain. There are Modis who are Parsis, there are Modis who are Muslim. I mean, there's not just one community that uses the name Modi, number one. And number two, the fact is that if you're living in the lap of luxury in London, as these two of the three people named by Rahul Gandhi are, you can hardly shelter behind the claim of backwardness. I mean, the only thing backward about them appears to be their moral standards. So I would appeal to you that kind of claim should be treated with the disdain it deserves. This has nothing to do with OBCs, nothing to do with the backward classes. This is about two rich fat cats who have taken fugitive status with their ill-gotten gains in a foreign country, neither of whom came from an underprivileged background or has ever lived an underprivileged life. And to use them as embodiments of the backward classes, frankly, the BJP is insulting the OBC community by doing that.
When you say it's about two rich fat cats and not about the OBC community, you're omitting very cleverly to talk about the third person who is in fact an OBC, which is India's Prime Minister, Narendra Modi. And do you believe, looking back, Rahul Gandhi made a political snafu by targeting the Prime Minister directly? When he tried sort of Rafale in the previous election, it didn't work. Now the Congress is trying very hard to talk about Adani. You've tried in both cases to link this to the Prime Minister. You can call Lalit and Nirav two rich fat cats. You can't say that about the Prime Minister.
Look, I think that the Congress party is making a political point that you are talking about a government that seems to have close relations with some crony capitalists, in whose case some irregularities are being alleged. And Rahul Gandhi, as an opposition leader, is exercising his right to ask certain questions, which is part of the exercise in a democratic opposition of holding the government accountable. In other democracies, the government would simply answer these questions and dismiss them. But you don't answer a set of questions, A, by refusing to answer them, B, by refusing to admit even statements of this nature. As you know, Rahul Gandhi's speech on the subject was expunged from the parliamentary record, and then C, by trying to get him expelled from parliament and even thrown in jail. That's not a democratic response. I remember a speech the Prime Minister made in 2015 or 16 talking about how important it was in a democracy for the government to be questioned, for the government to be challenged. He said, "Hamare sare kaam kaaj mein prashn uthane chahiye." This is the only way we can work in a democracy. And he's right. But when it's happening, seems to be the response. And that's very, very worrying.